Senate Judiciary Committee postponed a hearing set for this morning on the contentious Stand Your Ground law. It's the law that George Zimmerman used as a legal defense after shooting and killing 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Trayvon's mother was expected to testify at the hearing, along with the parents of another unarmed black teenager who was also shot and killed in Florida. This is a picture of Jordan Davis, a 17-year-old boy who was shot to death last November while sitting in the back seat of a friend's car at a gas station. And this is a picture of the man who shot him, 46-year-old Michael David Dunn. According to police reports, Dunn got into a verbal altercation with 3 boys who were sitting in a car next to him at a gas station after he told them to turn down their music. Then, in the middle of the altercation, Dunn pulled out his gun and fired a number of rounds into the car, killing Davis. Dunn is now claiming that he was standing his ground because he believed he was in danger. Jordan Davis's father, Ron, joins me now, along with his attorney, John Phillips. Thank you both for joining me. I'm so sorry, first of all, for your loss. Tell me about your son.
He was enjoying Thanksgiving, and the next day after Thanksgiving was Black Friday, which was the 23rd of November, and decided to go out with his friends. And they went to the mall and came back, and it was still early. It was about 7:30 in the evening. And him and his friend stopped at a convenience store, gas station, and one person went in to get something. And they were blasting their music and kind of playing their music loud like teenagers do. He's a 17-year-old. And he was in the back seat and passenger side, and with his best friend next to him. And a guy drove up, Michael Dunn, and rolled down his window and told his girlfriend before she got out the car that I hate that thug music, And so he kind of profiled them, And so he told him to cut it down, after his girlfriend went in the store. And of course, like teenagers, if you're not their parent, they're not really out to listen to you. And so they didn't turn it down. And he got into a verbal altercation with my son, and my son never got out of the car. He had the window halfway down, and Michael Dunn, he was in his car. And argument ensued verbally, and Michael Dunn backed off a little bit, rolled up his window, and for about a minute or so, when the other kid came back in the car from the store, he decided that Michael Dunn was going to roll down the window again and say, are you talking to me? You guys are still talking to me. And had a concealed weapon in his car and started shooting at the car and shooting at my son. And he shot my son twice. And as the car was pulling away, trying to get away from him, he was continuing to shoot at the car with these children, 17-year-old children in the car. And as it pulled just a few yards away, he still shot 2 more bullets in the back of the car, trying to kill these kids, which to me as a father is, I can't believe in our society today that someone would just try to kill children. But I see things that happen on the news, and sometimes you don't know if it's going to hit home or not, but it has hit home for me because it has torn Jordan from me and his mother. And when you have a teenager or someone at home who's missing, it breaks your heart, and it really just ruins your life. So I'm standing up for Jordan. I'm standing my ground for Jordan. His mother's standing her ground for Jordan.
Do you think that your son's skin color played a role?
I did. At first I didn't, but then when there were tapes that were released from the interviews from Michael Dunn's girlfriend, and she said that he said when he drove up, I hate that thug music. Why is my son's music considered thug music? Because you like a certain kind of music and you're a different skin color, whatever, And I keep telling people, we're so focused here in America, at least, on skin color. I tell people, I said 99% of your DNA is the same. Skin color and hair texture is only 1% of your DNA. Why do we focus so much on that 1%?
It's a very good question. John, I want to bring you into this conversation. We are hearing so many similarities between this case and the case of Trayvon Martin. The area, the color of the skin, the age of the boys, things like that. Do you think it's a fair comparison to make?
They both have similar elements, and they're both George Zimmerman and Michael Dunn were empowered by the Stand Your Ground law, and are going to use that Stand Your Ground law to try to use it as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now, that said, there were some encounters between Trayvon and Zimmerman where they actually were, there was a fight of some sort that we don't know what happened. You know, in Jordan's situation, he was just sitting in a car listening to loud music, and where Zimmerman said he was feared for his life, Jordan, the most significant thing is Michael Dunn's last words before he fired, according to all the witnesses, not "you're going to not threaten my life like that," not that you're going to point a gun at me or anything like that. It was, "You're not going to talk to me like that. You're not going to talk to me like that." And then he fired ultimately 10 shots, 9 of which pierced the vehicle. And so there is a bit of a difference there in that this was an argument. This was words that led to deadly violence.
In a Rolling Stone article, you said, quote, "In Florida courts, you don't need to be right. You just need to believe that you are." How does that play into this case in specific, and also the stand your ground law in general?
Stand your ground, since 2005, when it was implemented and spread like a cancer throughout the country, has taken the role of the jury to judge the facts and look at both sides and look at evidence and try to figure it out and say, no, we don't need to do that. Let's just find legal gun owners in a legal place, and let's look at them and what their situation is, and let's examine their brains and try to determine whether they thought they were in fear for their life. If they were, that's all they have to prove. Not that the situations warranted killing, but that they believe that they were warranted to kill. And that's absolutely contrary to the American jurisprudence system, and it's contrary to where we should be as a civilized society.
Ron, your son is going to be portrayed in the media as a boy who was sitting in the back of a car listening to loud music. But that's not necessarily a correct narrative. Who was your son? What do you want the people that are watching this to know about him?
I want them to know that he was a good family member, that he was a high schooler. And high schoolers, when you go to high school, you're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to learn, but you have fun while you learn. And everybody in that high school, in Samuel Wilson High School, they were saddened by that. I go up there and I mentor some of the students up there because they're shaken because of the fact that somebody would just fire onto somebody that looks like them, somebody that plays like them, somebody that's a teenager like them. And in society, our kids they don't realize how society has turned, you know, as we know what happened today at the Naval Yard. You know, society has turned where when you're angry for whatever reason, you get your gun and you start with violence toward people that are innocent. I want people to know that Jordan was an innocent bystander. You know, he was an innocent young man that this guy took out his aggression on. And the worst thing about it is that when I stood in front of Michael Dunn in the courtroom, he has no remorse whatsoever. He looked at me and with such disdain that it was palpable. I felt myself coming toward him, and my lawyer, John, he grabbed my arm because I didn't know, you know, something overcame me because of the fact that I couldn't believe that somebody wouldn't say, "Mr. Davis, I'm sorry for murdering your son." And in society right now, the humanity is gone.
And there is supposed to be that hearing coming up, and obviously you've got a long way to go still in your trial for your son. I appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us. Ron Davis, he's the father of Jordan Davis, and John Phillips is the Davis family attorney. Thank you so much.
Thank you.